All right, so let's go. Um, mm, no, that's the last bit. Mm, All right, I think I've got the bearings now. Sorry about that. All right, so Love Life is brought to you by the St. Andrew Church of Christ. I am Trevor Smith. My partner in crime, Brother Andre Allen Casey. I haven't seen him online as yet, but together we lead the process.
I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm not showing up. I'm sorry. I'm using my phone. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm here, Brother Smith.
Okay, cool. So you are the Zoom user that I've been asking for them. Okay. All right. So we know who that is now. No problem. All right. So let me just do a quick intro. Brother Andre, as you can see on screen, quick overview. It's been a Christian for this has been done a couple of years now. So well over 33, we know that for a fact. And also, if you add in the COVID things, again, over 10 years of counseling. Yeah, he is a counseling psychologist. A very wise head. Right. So that's it. I'm Trevor Smith, and I am the CEO of Successful People Academy and the Interpersonal Group. And that's enough, I think, in terms of introductions. So let's move straight into the subject for today, which is self-actualization. Okay. So as you know, this, or maybe you don't know, maybe you're joining for the first time, this is sort of part 2. And I want to just do a quick run through basically as to what the plan is. We're going to discuss this issue of self-actualization. We're going to talk about the concept. I'm going to look at some of Maslow. Maslow is a gentleman who made the concept popular and extended the whole concept. And we're actually going to use some scriptures to help us to move towards self-actualization. So that's the game plan. We have been exposed to Maslow and his hierarchy of needs. Basically, the concept is he has kind of refined it as he went along. Initially, it was that you had to complete, get one of these, get each level completed before you move on to the next level. Now he's saying that you can actually either jump or you don't have to have 100% completion of the needs. So basically the idea is that once you satisfy the base needs, food, shelter, clothing, then you start to look outside for other things now. Now you start to look at your safety needs, health, resources, those kinds of things. And then once that is in place, you start to look higher up more for belonging and friends and intimacy, family, all of that. And then, you start to get into things like, self-esteem and wanting to have recognition and want freedom, and then at the top of the chain would be the whole question of self-actualization, which is trying to be the best that we can be, moving towards the best that we can be. There's actually one that came afterwards, which is transcendence. That's another level. But basically then, our objective is to be in a position where we are working to become the best that we can be. So this thinking in the literature and with Maslow is that few, like 20% or less of individuals actually are in this space where they are self-actualizing. I want to ask the question, but I'm sure nobody will answer, so but to go there. But I want us to be at least thinking about it. Are you up here? Are you self-actualizing? Are you, and seriously, it's something that I think more of us should start to give active thought to, and be more focused and strategic in our quest, because it comes naturally, as you move from one of these, you're moving upwards. So it is something that is innate. It's just that it seems as if we don't actively think about it. And so maybe I really would like to get some feedback after this also. Have anybody who's in the sound of my voice been actively thinking about self-actualization and being purposeful in its pursuit? The question, if I don't want to call up the process, but if somebody feels, I have actively thought about this, and I have a strategic plan, and I'm actually working towards it. Is there one? Is there one today? Okay. I should say, is there one other than Brother Andre? All right, let's look deeper then. And the point I'm making here, though, is this is something that should engage us. And let me, before I get into more depth, let us just talk about how this is possible. One area, for example, could be your relationships, that you could actually be focused on, engaging others at a deeper level, or engaging someone at a deeper level. That's one of the characteristics as well. So you might, you don't have to think about being the best you can be in every aspect of your life. It is possible for you to look at niches and get a sense of empowerment, a sense of resilience, an ability to not just cope, but actually to be on top of what it is that you're doing. So art, somebody can get, self-actualized in terms of your creative endeavors, sports, church, religion. Those are areas, your faith, those are areas in which it is possible for you to be actively self-actualizing. Right. I hope this is making sense. So why is this going into Nav Life? Because if we look at these are all areas that we need to master or at least have a grip on in terms of navigating life. Yes. If someone is not able to feed themselves, and don't have clothing, etc., would we be concerned and to say, okay, this person is not navigating life? And it goes right up. And so, whereas we look at some of these other areas and feel that, okay, this is a subject for us to talk about. This is something that should engage us. Let us reach out to this individual because they are having these challenges. This person has some low self-esteem, or this person feels lonely. Those are areas that we feel, let's commit. Let's see how we can be supportive of individuals in this state. However, bear in mind how Maslow started. Maslow actually started with this idea that psychology then was about fixing sick people. That's basically what it was about. It was about trying to heal people who were ill psychologically. And he was saying, but why? Why don't we work on people who are well, people who are whole psychologically, and see how we can move them to higher levels of attainment higher levels of achievement, higher levels of self-fulfillment. So if we understand it in that sense, then we shouldn't only be concerned when things are not right, when someone is not coping so well, when somebody is having challenges in navigating that. Why don't we rally together and support each other in terms of seeing how we can be the very best that we can be? So that's the context in which this is being presented. So we're not looking to heal individuals psychologically. What we're trying to look at here now is to move them, you know, to be the very best that they can be. Make sense? I need to hear a voice.
Makes sense.
Okay, thanks. Thank you very much. All right, so let me just do a very quick thing here as to what it is that we're talking about. So, as we mentioned, Maslow is the guy behind it. We have talked about this already. So, as you can see here, the self-actualization can take place in many different areas: your wealth, your relationship, your career, your spiritual maturity, and so on. All right. One of the reasons though, why we, some of the obstacles to getting there is your cultural heritage. You might actually grow up in an environment that sells ideas, in terms of your socialization. You'll be indoctrinated in a way that makes it challenging for you to be self-actualized. Last night I was listening to a program, a young lady from India. She actually turned out not to be a big scientist. But what she was saying, when she was growing up, basically their life was defined as before marriage and after marriage. And the only schooling that was involved was really giving you enough education for you to be effective as a wife. If you consider someone in that state growing up in that kind of environment, potentially, I suppose they could, find self-actualization in terms of being an exceptional wife. But in many instances, people are going to be frustrated because they're going to see a single path for their own self-actualization. Their own aspirations will be unichanneled. And so those are some of the things, and especially in the context where you don't have the choice as to your spouse. You basically, the parents make arrangements for you to be wed. So that's part of what I'm saying to you. So your culture can be a problem, and your operating environment. You might actually be in circumstances that are challenging for you. If we think of Afghanistan, and the Taliban are coming back again, those are situations that make it challenging for many individuals to fulfill their dreams and to be the very best that they can be. Your skills, your knowledge, your whole aptitude could also limit your ability to fulfill, be the best that you can be. Others have some expectations that are unreal, so we might be daydreaming as to the lives that we want to live, and what it is that we want to do, which then is not linked or aligned to where we are in terms of our knowledge and our skills and so on. Yeah. So many of us might be looking for a spouse, potential spouse. But the vision that we have as the kind of person that we would want to have as a partner, that person is not necessarily looking in our direction. So those are some of the things. And of course, our mental, physical state might be a problem. If, for example, we are, our health fails us, then it could be then that some of the things that we would want to do would be compromised by our ill health. And the same thing with our mental health. All right. So that's basically where we want to be. All right. So this is the idea that human motivation is based on people seeking fulfillment and change to personal growth. That's the whole idea, is that it's an ongoing process, that it should be non-stop, where we just aspiring to be getting up to the next level. And basically, the self-actualizing people are people who are fulfilled and are feeling, doing all that they can do, in a sense, right? So they feel on the top of the game. All right. So I like to link these things to scriptures and so on. So when we look at it now, I look at Paul, and I say Apostle Paul looks like somebody who I would think would be self-actualized. Yeah. And so that's where we were. And so he has learned to cope. And so another way to look at this whole issue of the self-actualization is resilience, or capacity to not just cope, but to get beyond. Brother Andrew will talk about self-efficacy. So this thing is that whatever life throws at you, you are able to manage it. All right, cope effectively. All right, so these are some of the things that and we look at it. I'm not going to read these. I'm putting these up for those persons who want to go deeper, because what I notice in literature, when you're studying this thing, you realize that people just look at the headline. But when Maslow speaks about it, sometimes the headline doesn't do justice to where he's coming from. But we looked at this, and I just want to talk about this a little bit more. Because this, and I think Brother Andre jumped in the last time about this whole question of perception of reality. That for us to be self-actualized, we have to have a sound grasp of reality. In my experience, certainly, I know with my life as well, we tell ourselves a lot of lies. Sometimes it's challenging for us to face the reality. That is really me. I am the one that is sabotaging myself. I am the one that has this habit that, I'm saying, well, nothing really wrong with it, or, man, I can control it. But then you go back into it. So these are some of the challenges. The self-actualization needs for us to come clean. It's what needs for us to, open ourselves to what is real, right? My colleague says that in his line of work, when he's talking to people, some of the people say, no, talk about it, because you might, what is the term now? You might, bring it into being or something like that. But that's what I want to say, is that what Maslow is saying is that the people who are self-actualized have no problem in identifying their feelings, but they don't let, it's not crippling them. And that's one of the things that we have to understand as we navigate through life, is that hiding from our deficiencies is not really helpful. And lying, about it, or covering up. So we might even accept one feeling that sounds a little bit better to cover up something deeper. And what needs to be done then, if we are really going to be the very best that we can be, we need to identify what the problem is. Yes. So if we look at go back to truck, then maybe and look at you saying, you saying it never start. They look at it and they say, okay, fine. I see all these other things, but until you fix the start, then you can't run. You can't be the best that you can be. That's what I'm saying, is that you need to identify what it is. And sometimes, many times, there are blind spots. We don't actually know. We don't see it. And maybe it is that someone has to point it out to us. And that's where the challenge comes. Would we make ourselves open to take on that kind of feedback? would we seek it actively? Yeah. How open are we to candidly ask people to give us candid feedback? Or when we have friends who know us well, they're afraid to say, hey, Trevor, oh, I believe you, here's a problem, right? I mean, no harm, but that's an issue for you. Is that something that we will take on board? Or would our response be so fierce, maybe not even fierce, but you could see from our body language that it hasn't gone down well. Yeah. Unfortunately, in many instances, even if we put on a smiley face, in our minds, we are saying, who are you? Look at you. You are telling me that. Well, yeah, okay. So I can actually tell you that because I have the problem. So that shouldn't deny me the right, well, I wouldn't say the right, but I might be in the best position to tell you because I'm experiencing the problem. So that's something I think that this is one that, that we need to really look at is the depth of examining introspection of ourselves. And there's a key though, that while we are examining and we identify it, in the scriptures we talk about, besetting sin. While we are doing that, one of the things that we need to do is to not then think that this has to be, that we can't fix it. That's the important point. Brother Andre, come on. Are you able to speak, sir?
Yeah, I am kind of fish, but you're doing well. I mean, I'm relearning.
Yes, all right. Okay. All right. So yeah, but please, anybody, please, this is a discussion. It's not a lecture by any means. And so one of the things that we have to look at then in terms of this reality check is that let us not build up all sorts of beliefs and dreams that are not real, and also bear in mind that, as we see here in Jeremiah, we're not able to plan our course. So you could lay out all the best plans and it just blows up. So that's part of the thing. Plan, yes, but also understand that that is just your plan. All right. So let's move this forward. Right. So this is basically a supporting of this whole idea of accepting yourself. That's the second area that Maslow looked at, that people who are self-actualized actually accept themselves, they accept others, and they accept nature. If you think about yourself, how quick are we to judge others? How quick are we to say, oh my gosh, look at that, how quick are we to really and truly even accept ourselves? Self-talk is a huge factor. Just listen to yourself. Yeah. So you stub your toe, and you say to yourself, man, why are you so clumsy? Oh, Trevor, you're stupid, man, because you make a mistake. That's going right deep down into your subconscious. So that is part of what it is. Accept yourself. And we talk about forgiveness and moving past things, but some of us are carrying guilt from way back. There's something that we did, and we can't let it go. It actually cripples us. We might be staying away from family because we did some kind of thing that embarrassed, and we don't want to face those people. And so as a result of that, we lock off the opportunity to have wonderful relations with our in-laws or in our family. And those are some of the things that we have to look at. And so the question is, to what extent can we accept that this is? I like the idea that is put forward that you have to just look at things real, water is wet, as it says, and so therefore we're not shocked. Oh my gosh, the water is wet. So, people are afraid, have weaknesses. We're not shocked. We just know that this is part of human nature, that we have issues. And it's the same thing that we should look at ourselves. Oh my gosh, I am not being the person that I want to be, that God would want me to be. Oh my, yeah, that's real. We see it, we fall short. So if we can get to a place where we understand it, but don't let it cripple us. That's the thing. Do not be under this burden of shame and anxiety and really and truly we're just running over this stuff constantly until basically our mind is, mired in our problems. That's what we need to move on, get rid of. So does that mean that nothing matters? No. That's why I'm saying we need to go below the headline. And one of the things that we talk about is that self-actualizing people, really and truly want to take action, feel badly about things that like laziness, or just losing your temper for no reason, thoughtlessness, hurting others. Those are some of the things that you're saying, no, that's not acceptable. So we have to do something about those. So yes, we can get anxious and upset and be regretful about things like that. Also things like jealousy and prejudice and envy. Those are some of the things and some of the bad habits which you can actually control. So that's what we're saying, is that it's not a free for all now to say, oh, okay, I did that and it's okay. No, it's not. But we can move forward and not wallow into self-pity. So some of the things that we, reinforce is the acceptance of self other than nature. Would be these the scriptures talk about the fact that yes, we do have feelings, we do sin, right? And so Joshua tells us, or in the situation there, that be strong and don't be afraid, so you can actually move beyond whatever it is that has bothered you, been bugging you down, etc. With respect to others, and this is a big one. I think seriously, as we are looking to navigate through life, one of the things that we have to face is the need to live better with others. See how we can actually create an environment in which there's love, there's harmony, there's peace. Just think about how much of the challenge, how much of the challenges that we have going on around us now, the situation, are as a result of poor interpersonal relations. Just think about our crime situation. Just think about the people who are barely surviving in this world. What if we had a love for others as we have for ourselves? Would that change? And so for me, as we are navigating life, as we are through life, as we are seeking to become self-actualizing, one of the things that we have to look at is this whole question of how do we view others? How do we see others? Yeah. We just read about that somebody killed a homeless man by burning, setting him on fire. And a few years ago, there was one that dropped a big stone on one of the guys. So you don't see them as human beings. That's what we're trying to say now. You can't be in a self-actualizing way. So those are extreme examples. But seriously, to what extent do we actually see others as we would look at ourselves and want for others what it is that we want for ourselves? Yeah. All right. So this is hard. Value others above yourselves. How many of us actually can do this? But that's part of what it is as we take on this challenge. Love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you. That's a mindset, a higher order mindset. I would suggest to you that not all of us have this covered. That somebody do something bad, and you actually, you know, you might even pray that, you know, they don't get the best. All right, so let's go. And then, of course, nature. We want to look at how God has provided for birds and, you know, and how the heavens declare his glory. So we need to be conscious as well. I know there's a lot more happening in terms of environmental friendliness and care and so on, which is good. So let us treat planet with respect. All right. Any questions and comments? I'm just rambling here and I feel as if I'm not sure where we are. Any questions, comments? Is this of any value?
I don't have a question, Mr. Smith, but it is it is very important that we do self-actualization, you know. And then I realized that in your presentation you have gone deeper than I've ever thought about it. Because in my little brain, I'm thinking, okay, self-actualization is really, you know, just becoming the best me, or, you know, my potential, etc. But I never thought, I know it's important how we treat others and etc. But I've never thought about it in that way, that that should be included in self-actualization or self-actualizing myself, you know, the word and stuff.
Got it.
Yeah. And, you know, you asked earlier if there's anyone who has, you know, been doing that and stuff. I mean, it's like, for me, I thought of, you know, bettering Cherie, really. But then it's like I fall off the radar, because at one point I'm like, okay, fine, I have to work on this and work on that. But then we just fall off and we just stuck, you know. But what I'm grateful for is the fact that you added to it. I shouldn't say added, but I'm more open now. I have a better understanding in terms of it's not just me, but it's also inclusive of every other aspect, people, you know, life on a whole, you know. And back to what you shared about what Abraham Maslow said, you know, it's something just to sit and, you know, think about, read, and get a better understanding, and, you know, just to go forward. Better myself with relationship with people and others, the world, my spiritual life, etc., etc. Yeah, just want to add that.
No, appreciate it. Yeah, no. And that's very useful. So yeah, as a matter of fact, as you can see here now, it goes deeper. One of the things he talks about as well is problem centering. And he's saying that, you know, in general, they are strongly focused on problems outside of themselves. So that's a point we want to look at. A lot of what is happening now is we are at a state of focusing on the individual. I think increasingly, when I don't know, I'm just looking at life through my lenses, like growing up. I think people in the past were a lot more interested in others. The sense of community was there. I think, I don't know if it's because people are busier now or whatever it is, but the focus on the individual seems to be a lot more in place now than in the past. But what he's saying is that self-actualization is something that you have to look outside yourself. In other words, you have to have a mission that is outside of yourself. That's where the fulfillment is coming from. So it's not about me. It's not about earning some more money. It is not about you know, my state of mind. It is about, how am I impacting life? How am I making life better for others? That's when you can actually find a sense of fulfillment, when you're looking outside yourself. That to me is powerful. Yes. And in many instances, what he's saying as well is that it's not even you know, you see it as a choice as such. It's almost like a duty. You know, so it's not something that you say, you know, it'd be nice, you know, I could spend some time doing this. No, I'm called to do this because I see this problem. And so I put out myself to actually make a difference in that area. And that's something that, as you say, it's not something that we walk around generally thinking about when we are navigating through life. We just go on and we try and see how we can, maybe help our family to do something more. And even, now and then we, reach out a hand and do something for some. But in terms of a mindset of community, a mindset of problem solving to make life better for humanity, that's for many, like, honest for myself, is not at the top of my agenda. Sorry. And then basically, if I just put up something, probably not going to go through all of them, but if you just look through this, at the very first year, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others. Straight up. Yes. That's what it is. That's part of it. I mean, the St. Anne Church of Christ, as the motto, saved to serve. And basically that's what it is about. Yeah. We have to get to a place where we're looking outside and not internally alone. Yeah. So Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve. Yeah. And do it with all your might. Those are some of the things that we talk about. And of course, if you look at the Great Commission, it is what is one of the best things that you could do for someone is to proclaim the gospel. Yeah. All right. Right. So Sherry is saying our gifts do not belong to us, but to serve others. Absolutely. All right. So that's part again of navigating through life, that maybe we're too caught up, maybe we're too bogged down with the days, chores and all of the cares to actually be looking outside of yourself. I can hear someone saying, and maybe I should be honest with myself, that I have to take care of myself. How can I reach out when I can't even make my ends meet? How can I do this? Or maybe again, I tell you, we cannot lie to ourselves or put things in a politically correct way. I'm saying is, okay, I am striving to make this happen for me so that, and sounds good, so that I can then be of service to others. But if that causes me to be unifocused on myself and to be oblivious of the troubles and the trials and the problems that others are facing, that might not be what is expected of us. So all I can say is that, yes, I hear the intention, I hear the wish, I understand the concept that if I put myself in a better position, then I can better help others. But if that process puts blinkers on yourself and you can only be looking inside, then I think that we might be misguided, and we might be actually be moving away, not only from being self-actualized, but actually also from not being the people that God expects us to be. All right. So another thing he talks about here is discrimination between means and ends and between good and evil. So so they have the standards, so they do right. I'm not saying that he talks about Christianity, because he doesn't, but there's a sense of what is right and what is wrong. That people understand. And the one that I want to focus on here, in addition though, is the idea of focusing on, let me read it. Self-actualizing people most of the time behave as though for them means and ends are clearly distinguishable. In general, they are fixed on ends rather than on means, and means are quite definitely subordinated to those ends. So at the end of the day, they're looking out there to see what it is that we want to achieve. And so they're very focused on the mission, But the interesting part about it is that there is an enjoyment, there is a acceptance, and in some instances, the journey almost seems to be an end in itself. Right? So let me put up some of these, because this is supposed to be a recap, right? So what we're saying is, if you can focus on celebrating the journey, not just the destination, that is an added plus. Let me be clear then. Let us say that our goal is to go to Montego Bay, and all of the wonders that are there. So we can focus, we can get excited about Doctor's Cave or whatever it is that we're going to do there. You could actually get more if you actually enjoy the journey to Montego Bay. Yes, that's the thing. So let us move it into real life situations. So if I want to study something, get a degree, let us say that is something that I want to achieve. Yes, I can see myself walking the stage, in the gown and all of that kind of thing. But if I enjoy, tough thing to say, right? If I enjoy beating the books and listening, going to the lectures and so on, I will get more from it. That's the concept. Not all of us feel this way about things. In terms of the journey, sometimes it requires self-discipline. It requires denial of certain things that we want. It means giving up certain pleasures. That's challenging. But what if we could actually enjoy those things? Wouldn't it make it better? So, for example, let us say that I want to lose weight, and I have a target weight or whatever it is. I want to keep my weight down at a certain thing. What if I could so design my diet and my exercise regime that I love it? I'm looking forward to getting up, in the dark to go run. I'm looking forward to my spinach instead of the ice cream. That then also means that I'm getting more value from the process, and still I'm moving towards the destination. I hope that I have explained that properly. I'm not sure. Right? And the Paul situation, he says, I haven't really got there yet, but I'm pressing on, pressing on. Yeah. And of course, the Galatian passage that tells you, don't be weary. That's the whole concept. The concept is that as we push on, when we talk about some of the interviews with even like you seen and all the people there, they tell you that the training thing is not an easy thing, it's a serious thing. But if in the middle of that training you find a way to reconcile it with yourself and find fun and enjoyment in it, then you get a lot more value, and you actually put yourself in a position where you might actually get to your destination. Yes? No? Silent crew today. Let me look at where my time is. All right.
Mr. Smith?
Yes, go.
You mentioned that it is best to enjoy the journey than the destination. And you know what does dawn on me? I'm not sure if all of us on this platform are Christians, but it's just like the relationship with God. I want to use Abraham, for example. When he said to Abraham, listen, no, may I say it's probably a layman's term. Leave for yourself, everybody else, and go on. You're not sure messing up, but go on and trust me. So he didn't know what was the end game or the end result of what God wanted him to do. He just trusted God and went along on the journey until God said, no. As you go along the journey, I will tell you what's next, what to do next, so and so. So actually the same thing as you were talking about just now, the journey. It's not how this is the journey. Whatever whatever lessons we need to learn. Maybe to build a character, whatever it is for us to get the end result. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Right. So yeah, that's a good example actually. where you're actually moving and being willing to appreciate what is happening to you along the way. I think that that is another way of looking at it. You still have some focus on where you want to go, but it's not just what I'm thinking here. I'm stopping in it, that sometimes individuals get caught up in the destination, and what they are saying is that any means I can get there by any means. Now that's a different concept altogether. So in other words, if I want a visa to go to the States, I can falsify all the documents because the means justify the end, justify the means. So go right, the ends justify the means. And so that's one of the things that people do, right? We do things in order to get to whatever it is that we want. And those things might not actually be in accord with God's will for our lives, and actually could sabotage what it is that we're trying to do. So that's another area that we can look at. All right. So in terms of the good and evil, the scriptures are clear. Flee, actually run. That's what Timothy was told. Run, boss man. Run. And seriously, as we talk about navigating life and we're moving towards self-actualization, this advice, this flee thing is very important, because we have so many distractions. And it might not just be evil. There are some things that we just run from. You have to run away from some toxic people. You have to run away from some idle people. You have to run away from yourself, in terms of being able to achieve your goals, etc. So this idea of a flee is something that I think is, I don't know, right. I'm sure we say run like Joseph, right? Sometimes you have to do that. And I just want us to bring that to the fore in terms of what is it that's trapping us into where we are, and we would like to get away from it, but we're not doing it. So let us look at relationships, for example. It could be that we have a anger issue, or we have something that we don't hear people the way that they want us to hear them. So we always, we twist what it is. And so we're constantly miserable, and we're constantly in a conflict with people. So that's a behavior that we need to control. And it might be that if you're in a situation where you start to see the argument moving in a particular direction, maybe you just need to take for yourself, so that we are able to maintain healthy relationships, on a more consistent basis. Those are some of the things that we have to look at. As we, I'm looking at navigating life now and self-actualization in a much broader sense. It's a whole, much more complex thing. So we have to look at some of the little things that cause a problem. Right? So we used to have this relationship with this individual, and it's gone down the drain now. I've had situations like that where I can tell you a scenario where, again, mindset. So there was a sermon I presented, and a sister came afterwards, sometime after, and says, my relationship with another sister has gone, busted, because the sister says that that's what she said to me, that I came and told Brother Smith about this confidential matter, to the extent now that he has come and preached about it. Nothing like that ever happened. But I'm just telling you that sometimes in our minds, we create environment, we create situations that actually cause problems that are unnecessary. And so as we look at self-actualization, as we look at navigating life, as we look at this whole question of resilience, if we have these deficiencies, we're making it more challenging for us to actually get to where we want to go. And that's something that we have to look at. It's not just a surface thing. This is an in-depth analysis. And that's why I'm using the scriptures again to go, because it goes there. Yeah, goes very deeply there. And I love that flee, trust me. And of course, if there's sin in your body, then, it's going to cause you a problem. Love the Proverbs. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and shun evil. Do not be wise in your own eyes. In other words, you can't just sit down and just make up your own rules of life. You can't just sit down and decide that this is what life is about and these are the rules and run by that. That can't work. So I could just get up and just set up new rules for high jumping and declare myself the champion. I don't know how that can work. That can't work. So my thing would be to look at life from a different perspective and to understand that we are not alone to ourselves. Yeah. Don't overcome evil. Don't be overcome by evil. Not overcome evil with good. What is the point of this one? This one is really about bad mind. So sometimes we feel that, okay, I'm getting pushback, I'm getting bad mind from this individual. So now double down and create even more bad mind for them. That's not healthy. No, that is healthy. Yeah. That's part of the problem that we have with the revenge and so on. Yeah. The pride and the arrogance, these are things that are something you have to look at. Pride before a fall, that's where we go. All right. And the self-examination, as you can see, is one of the things we're talking about. Is that when you hear yourself talking, when you see things coming out of you, all the scriptures are saying it is coming from inside. Don't be shocked. It's not, telepathy or something like that. This, whatever it is that is coming out of you, is inside of you. All right. Okay, there's where we were. That's what's supposed to be the recap. All right, this is a good one. Talking complex language, so I'm not going to, but basically, well, no, let me read some because I think it's useful. But it's basically is essentially talking about humility. So all of my subjects, with the exception, may be said to be democratic in the deepest possible sense. They can be and are friendly with anyone of suitable character, regardless of class, education, political belief, race, or color. They find it possible to learn from anybody who has something to teach them, no matter what other characteristics they may have. Whoa, can we say this? Are we really open to learn and link up in a positive way with people of all classes, education, political beliefs? That to me is one of the keys to navigating life, because as I said to you, your relationship is an important key to helping you to navigate. If you have a good, strong circle of supporting individuals, you're much you're in a better position to cope, to navigate, to transcend even. So this is, all quite well aware of how little they know in comparison with what could be known and what is known. This is it. This quest for knowledge, this willingness to learn and to learn from anybody of suitable character. So here's the key. Because of this, it is possible for them to, without pause, to be honestly respectful and even humble before people who can teach them something that they do not know, or who have a skill they do not possess. Key. Are we there? Are we in a position where we humble ourselves to the point now where, yes, we can deal with anybody, can learn from anybody, and we're just not arrogant. We know that we don't know, right? Right? And so this again, here's where the scriptures is going there. It says, live in harmony with one another. Don't be proud. Be willing to associate with low people of low position. Don't be conceited. Come off of a high horse. Sure, he says it's a work in progress. But seriously, this kind of bias and prejudice is one of the things that is holding us back. Yeah. And also a sense of arrogance that we are a respecter of persons. So we're, information is coming in. We are willing to listen to, erudite people, but someone who may be in a lower position or who don't speak enough, proper language or whatever it is, we kind of shut it down. So humility. Scriptures talk about that. Humility and fear of the Lord bring wealth and honor life. Right? Here, God's chosen people, holy, deal with those yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Scriptures are very clear about this. That if you're moving towards the self-actualization, these are some of the characteristics that you need to have. You need to control the full pride wisdom and just humble yourself. Humble. Be completely humble and gentle, patient, bearing with one another and love. Yeah. And then of course the haughty. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted. Humble yourselves therefore under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time. That's a lesson. Again, do we think about these things normally when we're navigating life, when we're going through our day-to-day life? Do we stop to think, oh, today I need to be humble. I need to respect others. I need to be able to learn from anybody, whether low or not. I need to be, without being fake, I need to be able to relate to people of all walks of life, of all beliefs. Is that something that we are ready for? So maybe that's why we don't say that self-actualization is not so easy. Then the next one, I think there's just one more that is, this is the whole question of our interpersonal relations. I find this very interesting, actually. Self-actualizing people have deeper and more profound interpersonal relations than any other adult. Although, I love this, not necessarily deeper than those of children. That's in the that. So basically, the children that we scoff at and think they are naive have more profound interpersonal relations than many. And that's part of what it is. And that's why the scripture talks about, the whole idea that, you need to be born again. You just need to come to a place, probably not the children to come. That's a sense, that kind of innocent, I think we're going to call it naive. That's what the adults will say, they are naive. But it's a capacity to look beyond certain things and not to be put off by. I use the example that if you go to a birthday party, little children, infants, and they play, one might, Trevor might stick Mary, either accidentally or maybe by purpose. In the eye, there's a crying, yeah. If there are no parents around, after a little while, Mary decides that too much fun is going on for me to stand on the side here crying, and she comes back on the plane again. If Mary's mother is around, then she comes and takes up Mary's mother, investigates what it is, and then she goes hunting for Trevor's mother to make sure that this doesn't just go like that. He cannot be going around sticking people in the eye, and something needs to happen. And she tells Mary, stay far from Trevor. That's the rational, logical approach of adults. But what does it do for interpersonal relation? Yeah. But the next party, Mary's and Trevor's, and then forget it, then just run up and down and play same way. Is that healthy? I want some feedback on that. Is that something that adults could emulate or not? Could we go down Snoop, of daring to be like the children. So people in group tonight. All right. So the interpersonal things, right? Well, the scriptures talk about it, right? How we can actually get to a place of self-actualization through the building of solid relationships. That's a key, right? Love each other deeply because love covers over a multitude of sins. We see that in 1 Peter 4:8. One who has unreliable friends soon comes to ruin. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. And can we be the best that we can be if all our friends are unreliable? Yeah. But what if you had a friend who sticks closer than a brother? That's what we're saying. When you're thinking about self-actualizing, when you think about navigating through life, one of the things that you have to look at our relationship is our relationship. What can we do to have this solid bond with people? A friend loves at all times. A brother is born for a time of adversity. If we're not building relationships and maintaining them, when the time of adversity comes, what are we going to do? We're just by ourselves. Let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds. That's one of the things that we have to talk about. So it's not just when the adversity comes. But remember, Maslow's idea was let us work with healthy people and see if we can make them better. And that's one of the things that we're talking about here in Hebrews, is why can't we make others better? Don't wait until they're in a problem. What about spurring us on to love and to good deeds? What about motivating me? What about, coming to share with me and say, hey, what's happening with you? Can we support you in, being better at this, being better at that? That's some of the things that we can look at. That. So be completely humble and gentle, be patient, bearing one another in love. This is the thing. That's what the children are doing. Yeah, you stick me. I didn't remember that. I remember that. But as adults, yes, I remember. We used to work together 20 years ago. And, you do something, and we still remember it. It's a different ball game. So make every effort to keep the unity of the spirit through the bond of peace. And of course, don't let any unwholesome talk more. Only what is helpful for building of others. So all of the naysaying, all of the backbiting, all of the gossiping, put that aside. That's not helping you to get towards a self-actualizing state. Stop scandalize people and stop, say bad things about people behind their back. Build them up. Whatever it is that we're talking about, let us try to build up others. Yep. Okay. Andre, you underwater? Now you can talk.
One of the things I found very interesting is the amount of passages that supports the framework, Maslow's framework. Then let me use that word, and really and truly, it is quite telling. Almost exposing. And identify how far back you are. That's the way Shireen wrote work in progress, and that is definitely definitely the truth, but really, I mean, how we treat other folks, and the idea, the scriptures have already stated it, and sometimes it seems as if we need man to come with a different principle. And we rather accept that principle from man, than when we read something in the scriptures that has already guided us and told us definitively what we must do and how we must go about achieving it. And so, really and truly, I am literally in awe of not just Maslow, but more importantly, how we have some scriptures that support a framework that whether you're coming from a secular standpoint or not, these scriptures really and truly are quite telling, and by and large, I do believe that we should look to start subjecting ourselves to it in a real way, not in a fictitious way, but in a real way. And yeah, that's what I have to say.
Yep. Yeah, well, one of the things that we said, I think, in the last session was that I'm a believer that the scripture is ahead of, well, we see it in the physical sciences. We talk about the, hydrolysis, we talk about all sorts of different things where certainly in Job, a lot of information is there that the scientists found out afterwards. And I was saying that I also believe that in terms of the social sciences, like the psychology here, that this stuff is predates Maslow. Yeah, and so that's key if we want to look at this whole issue of being yourself, and the whole passage about being transformed and renew your mind, which basically is a concept that Maslow is talking about as well. This whole question of going up the hierarchy to the point of self-actualization is in fact transformation. It is in fact a renewal of the mind. That's what it is. Don't conform to what is going on. Is the concept, which is basically the idea of the same thing. Is that these are different. This is a different way of thinking, which is exactly what the scriptures have been saying. Romans talk about that. Do not think the same way that everybody else thinks. Look at a different way, renew your mind, and constantly, all of the things that look at this. That's why I'm putting the scriptures there to say, look, this, you have all of this written down that can guide you towards self-actualization if we just follow them. In every one of the cases, there is material that's laid out clearly for you well before Maslow was even born. All right. So,
Trevor Smith, I don't know if you're moving on to another point. Or...
Go ahead.
Okay. But the interpersonal relationships, I think is that subject matter alone can take up a next format or session. I don't know, because I do believe that one of the challenges we have is that we need to rid ourselves of our own pain and idiosyncrasies and challenges and biases. I do believe that we do a lot of projection, and that really does interfere with having a pure heart. Literally just having a pure heart and giving people the benefit of the doubt. I do believe that because we have so many ugliness that has impacted us in a negative way. We have allowed that ugliness to redefine us, literally. And so we even come to our relationship with that ugliness. And so we come thinking the worst, we come expecting, we come, we just don't come saying, hey, a matter of fact, people who say we are naive and being stupid if we give people the benefit of the doubt. And so I do believe that interpersonal relationship begins with how I purge me so that I can forge and form healthy relationships going forward.
All right. So that's your topic, sir, for the next Nav Live. Well, we know this is first. This is whatever it is. The next first. No, today this is the first Saturday in September. I'm lost. All right, third Saturday. All right, don't worry. I'll start it out. All right, so here's another one. This is the last one we're doing here. Spontaneity, simplicity, and naturalness. Self-actualizing people can all be described as relatively spontaneous in behavior, far more spontaneous, and that in their inner life, thoughts, impulses, etc., their behavior is marked by simplicity and naturalness, and a lot of artificiality or straining for effect. In other words, these people cannot live a transparent life. They don't have to pretend and put on ears and so on. I know there's a general thought that all of us walk around with masks, and when that's it. And when I mean not COVID masks, I'm talking about literal, not physical, figurative masks where we hide behind a facade. And what we're saying is that if you could actually get to a place where you are self-actualizing, then the need to pretend, the need to put on a facade is not there, because you're willing, to open. People can see who you are. Remember, the first one of the things is that you accept self. So why do I have to hide? Why do I have to pretend? I can be open. Yes? This is not easy. So therefore, when we are dating, do we, over a meal, let our potential mates understand all our feelings? Is that what we do now? So yeah, and don't tell you the truth, I'm really a terrible person. I must tell you, support that by showing you I'm terrible in this way, and I'm terrible in this other way, and I'm terrible in this other way. Good. All right, so when can we meet again? I think I might be traveling. I'm not sure when I'm going to be available again. All right, so, but that seriously, is a position is how open can we be? Or open can we be? Is there a movie where this guy had to tell the truth? Or whatever his thoughts would come up. There, what if life was like that, where you could actually just speak the truth, and how would that work out? So another thing, though, is also the capacity to think outside of the box. So that's part of resilience. That's part of self-efficacy. That's part of the capacity to navigate effectively through life. The willingness to take on new adventure, new experiences. A lot of us are boxed in, closed, and do the same thing. Sure, you talk about Abraham. Get up and go to a far country. Whoa, me? No, I have not left my district. I can't go. So that's what it is. And willingness to check, test the borders, the whole regimentation, where you're blocked in and you have to do this and do that, etc. A lot of what we talk about now and celebrate as disruption are from people who are willing to challenge the structures and to question why we have to do it this way. Yeah. But again, my insight is that from early childhood, people who have those tendencies are being whatever it is, limited, and they're being coached, being socialized to get out of that. Do this, line up, comes. That kind of art is not what is expected. Those colors don't match. All of that kind of thing, is be careful. No. If we do that, then we are crippling the spirit to explore, to experience new things, and to create new things. Yeah, that's not how it is done. That's not how we have done it. Those are things that we need to challenge. And so, as we look at navigating life, as we talk about moving towards self-actualization, that's not some of the things that we have to start to do. Are we being limited by our socialization, by our norms, by what we see around us? Are we willing to question and say, no, is there another way? Are we willing to go out and experiment? Might not succeed, but are we in a place where we are willing to do that? And critically, are we willing to allow others to experiment? Or do we want them to conform? Yeah. Will we support persons who are outside of the box, thinking outside of the box, thinking differently? Or do we want them to conform, and do we put pressure on them to be like us? Those are questions that we have to ask. All right. I think my time is up. Go ahead.
Something just dawned on me. I started out by saying to you that I thought that me, or maybe my definition of, and I explained what I think it was. But no, now that you've gone through the entire presentation, I'm just thinking that maybe some of us who think that we're in the process of self-actualization, we're maybe not in it because there are certain things that entails us in being in that process, or maybe we're not truly doing it because the scriptures that you mentioned that followed, us, if we're in that process, then we have to apply those to our lives, among other things. And I said to myself, crap, maybe we have to go back to the drawing board right now and say, oh Lord, so and so, and help us with so and so, or to do so and so, And I'm grateful for this though. You say you're done, so man, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Alan Casey as well.
Okay. That's Eric. All right. Okay. By the way, I have only looked at 7. Maslow actually has 15 other areas. And as I say to you, the scriptures have tons more of things that would guide you towards self-actualization. But I've only used 7 of his 15 areas. So
Yeah.
it's just a thought. But in terms of the openness of your mind to explore and to be willing to experiment, those are some of the things, Well, go back to our original passage, which is the Romans 12:2, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. By testing, you may discern what is the will of God.
I think, you know what, Mr. Smith, that scripture you said, it starts there. So if an individual decide, listen, God, I want to be transformed by the renewing of my mind. Once we accept that, then everything is coming into place, how we treat others, how we love others, etc., etc. So yeah, that's our first step. True? Right, Mr. Casey? True.
All right, I see your Abraham passage there.
I just saw it. Yeah.
All right. So, yeah. So again, all these people were still living by faith when they died. This is the whole passage of the heroes of faith. They did not receive the things promised. They only saw them and welcomed them from a distance, admitting that they were foreigners and strangers. So again, you can look forward. You can have this expectation of what is going forward, what is going to happen. All right. And of course, there's assurance. Romans 8:28 tells us that we know, I think God works for the good of those who love him. And so if you have that right, if you have a good relationship with God, then things will work out, basically. This is the one that people have a challenge with, and sometimes say, I will learn from somebody else. Father, is the James passage that says, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, wherever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance, and let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature, complete, not lacking anything. So that is the destination at the end of the day, but some of us are not enjoying the journey when we have these trials. Could we actually just get mature and not lack anything and be complete without the trials? Please, if that's possible. So that's part of what it is again, if we look at the whole question of destination and means to the end. You have to get to a place where you do that. All right. So that's where we are today. And I want to invite you. Let me try and stop share for a while. Okay. Share screen. So, okay, right. So that's what I wanted to share here, is that this content is available. Oops. Where did I put it? Okay, here we go. You can actually access all the Nav Life series at standrewchurchofchrist.org, media, or YouTube, Simply Christians JA, or on Facebook, Simply Christians JA. As there, want to invite you to our worship service tomorrow. We meet at 77 Reddings Road, 9 o'clock. And we have our Sunday school right after Bible class. Different Bible class for different needs. And then midweek Bible class on Tuesday using the same Zoom link. All right. So thank you. And may God continue to bless you as we strive to navigate through life. All right. That's it. Any last words, last question as we wrap up?
I want to talk to you for a few minutes, Mr. Smith. All right.
Okay. All right. I hang on.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you for an awesome job. And for all the participants.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I'm gonna stop recording. All right.